My fellow students, my name is Sarah Madsen, and I stand before you today with the intention of trying to convince you why I am the most qualified candidate for the presidency, while also sounding humble enough that I don't come off as arrogant. Most of you probably already know me, either from having classes with me, which should be memorable since I hardly consider myself a quiet person, that 50-question mental health survey that I made you all take last fall, you're welcome, from seeing me literally any PCS function since I do go to all of them, or simply passing me in the hallway, and I'm the ginger who's always carrying a cup of tea. I know many of you probably don't give much thought to the election. I know I certainly didn't when I was in your position last year, but I ask you to please listen to what I and my fellow candidates have to say to you today. I often joke that I live here, and I think that I can say that I'm one of the most active members of the PCS community, but that's something that I'm proud of. I know it sounds cheesy, but I really do love PCS. We have an amazing community of students and teachers, and I'm convinced you couldn't find that anywhere else. And I can't tell you how happy it makes me to be a part of it. I was told not to make campaign promises, but I swear that if I'm elected, I will continue to make this school and its students my top priority. I have the drive, the organization, and the time to make this school the best it can be. I'd like to think that my dedication to this school will be enough to convince you of my merit, because I'm sure that neither of us want to hear a list of activities that I struggle to make sound professional or especially demonstrative of my character. But on a more serious note, if I didn't truly believe that I was qualified for this position, I wouldn't be standing here. I love this school, and I want what's best for it. I want to think that I'm what's best for this school. But if I'm not, and if someone else is more qualified for the presidency than I am, then please elect them instead. I know not everyone has the time to be directly involved in school affairs, but you've all been given a voice in this process, and all I'm asking is that you put more than a few seconds of thought into which box you check. Thank you.
What does jack mean? Well, the dictionary defines it as a device for lifting heavy objects. So what does this have to do with me? Well, I'm able to take on big problems. A jack helps to lift heavy things off the ground. Similarly, I will be able to carry the heavy responsibility of president and help the school run smoothly. Since jacks help to lift things up when people feel down and don't know what to do, I will listen to them and help lift them from the position. Together, we will find a solution to the problem and a way to make everyone happy. A jack is composed of a bunch of different parts. There's the stand, the lever, the crank, the gearbox, and the screws. Just like if a color jack is missing one part, it won't work, student government needs everyone. I will make sure that all the parts of student government get equal attention and respect, and they all work together to cooperate. A jack is also a card in a deck, which is supposed to represent a person of the aristocracy. The jack has had experience leading with the nobles and has had authority and responsibility for a long time. In this case, the nobles are the other student body executive members. I've been in student government for a long time and have experience leading. A jack is also an electrical outlet. If you want to power a lamp or some other object, you plug it into a wall. Students will be plugged into a wall, being powered and full of energy if I'm president. I will ensure that everyone is excited about what they are doing, and this will propel energy in a good direction. If you look at this outlet, you'll see that it devotes its energy to only 2 objects at a time, and it puts all of its energy into those 2 objects. I focus on 2 things, which are music and student government, and I put all of my energy into those 2 activities. I try not to do a bunch of activities because then I wouldn't be able to devote as much attention to student government and music as I can now. So, please vote Jack for student body president.
Hey everybody, as most of you guys know, my name's Tova Popilski, and I'm one of the 5 candidates running for student body president. To be honest, this was the part of the campaign I was the most nervous about. I mean, who would have thought someone running for president had to write a speech and give it to the whole school? But I knew I wanted to be president ever since I started student government at PCS when I was back in 8th grade, and I was a senator for the first time, which is one of the main reasons I've also been in thespian leadership for the past 2 years and continued to be a senator until this year. Some of the favorite things I've accomplished in these positions have been starting the tradition of lock-ins at PCS or organizing the Harvest Festival the last 2 years, which are both events that I've noticed you guys enjoy a lot. As president, I would want to make PCS a more culturally dynamic place without turning it into a place that isn't necessarily a high school, even though we're coined for being different. PCS is such a positive and inclusive environment. It's crazy how, as a junior, I know so many 7th and 8th graders when that wouldn't be the case at any other school in the county, or anywhere for that matter. Which is why I want to make this school special for each one of you guys, just like it is for me. That's one of the reasons I've been working this past year to improve the info sessions that PCS offers for new students and to work on the student mentor program for high school students. But instead of using the rest of this speech to compliment myself, I think I'll take a minute to talk about all the other candidates I could be working with next year. To start, there's Vu, who's an extremely reliable and respectful person, or Sarah, who's efficient and diligent and a great worker, or there's Jack, who's always passionate about everything he works on and makes the best of everything, and Shane, who's outgoing and approachable and great to work with. I've worked with each of them a lot over the past few years, and I can only hope I have a fraction of their dedication and charisma. But they're all just such genuine and hardworking people that I know want the best for this school and everyone attending it, and it would be a privilege to work with any of them. I'd be honored if you vote for me to be next year's president, and I just want you guys to know that I'm extremely passionate about making this school a better place for all you guys. Thanks.
Oh well, too late. I only get one try. Hello. What's your favorite scale? Major, minor, harmonic minor, melodic minor, mixolydian minor? Is that a thing? Don't hate me, Miss Calvin. My favorite scale is the whole tone scale. Here's the major scale. Nice and normal, and it ascension and it resolves. My favorite scale is the whole tone scale. Sound familiar? You can't respond to me. It's from The Simpsons. Because it feels a little bit offbeat because all of the intervals are the same. All the spaces between the notes are the same. And it feels off, it feels weird because there's no like major rooting. It's a little bit different. So it's a little bit like my vision for PCS. It's a little different. We don't have to follow the exact rigidities of what's come from like 10,000 years before. We don't have to follow 1700s style music of just major scales. Everything must be happy, everything must resolve exactly. We can be a little different. We can provide equal opportunities for all the notes. All right, you may have been honest, I may have shifted position slightly instantly. We had to splice the footage because I screwed up. So, when we were asked to write this speech, other people, they wrote out the speech like word for word. And I could have done that, but I feel like that'd take away the purpose of the speech, which is to tell you who I am as a person. I like to do things a little bit differently. I don't like podiums because I feel like I have to hide behind them. I like doing things I like tying bow ties. Join the Union. All right. Yes. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Shane Williams, and I'm running for president 2017. Writing this speech, I've learned a lot. Mainly that I hate writing speeches, and secondly, that it's really hard to try and talk about yourself and still sound humble and confident. Mr. Nessler and the Roar staff told me that I had to write this speech, and they were like, you have to talk about who you are and why you're qualified to run for student government. And my immediate reaction was just terror. I didn't want to have to talk about myself for 2 solid minutes in front of a camera and then have the entire school watch it. So I started off writing about myself a little bit, and I thought I might as well give it a try. And the first few drafts just didn't come out right. It was all about how I was so amazing and so great and how you should always vote for me. And I really didn't want my speech to just be that. So I decided to get a little bit more creative. So I walked around the school and I scrambled for like 3 days trying to find quotes from everyone. And I would use these quotes to like make a cool speech where like people talked about me and I didn't have to really talk about myself as much. But that came across even worse, and I was even more arrogant and conceited for it. It was like, oh, look how humble I am, having everyone brag about me for 2 minutes, and it was terrible. And Mr. Hunt was just like, no, you can't say this is too bad. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that now. And so I thought, what am I gonna write? I've tried 2 different drafts. Each one was worse than the one before it. And so I decided to instead talk about my experience writing the speech, which is kind of strange because I started this off being like I want to talk about myself. But as I talked with people and they gave me such positive and amazing outlooks on the school and myself, giving me compliments that I don't deserve and being just such kind and compassionate people, I realized that that's the culture here at PCS. It's weird and it's positive and it's amazing. And literally anyone could go up and talk to people and they would be able to give them the greatest compliments. And that's just such a great feeling. I was just some guy with a laptop asking people what they thought of me, and they were just so kind and amazing. And that is, in essence, why I want to run. I want to support the people who have shaped my experience here at PCS and have really helped me through this entire school. They've introduced me to crazy projects like the musical and jazz combo and swimming and student government and the info sessions here, and it's just been such a great experience that I want to give back to them in some small way, and making this speech and getting those quotes really just hit home for me, like why I'm really running for the school. I just want to give back to you guys, so thank you, and please vote, I guess. Shout out to Quinn, I love you.
Hello, and welcome to the first ever PCS panel. We have with me our 5 candidates for the position of PCS president for next year, and I'm your host, Blake Dixon. I am a former president, co-president at that, and I was also one of the editors last year for The Roar. So, once again, welcome, and let's dive right in to our first question. Question number 1. To my dear candidates, what are the greatest strengths of PCS?
I think one of the greatest things about PCS is how inclusive the community is. I know, personally, I mentioned it in my speech, I really think it's a crazy thing to be a junior and be friends with people that are in 7th or 8th grade. Because if I had a high school experience at almost any other school, I probably wouldn't be in that situation. And I'd probably just know a few people in my grade and not be able to expand who I know to that far of an extent.
On top of that, the relationships that we have at this school, they're like cross-grade, but at the same time we also have really close relationships with our teachers, which are really great. We're so close with them, and they're like both mentors, but they're also friends to a certain degree, and so they want you to succeed, I feel like, more than teachers at other schools. And so they'll help you, they'll mentor you, and they'll also have a good time with you.
Okay, going off the inclusiveness, PCS has a ton of opportunities that I think makes us unique. We have like thespian society, dance company, and all these things you can do, and they will include you and like invite you to do it. So just if you're a PCS student, you have so many opportunities that you can do and pursue, and just so many options open to you.
I guess more about the community, the teachers. It's really cool to have people who really want to be here. So like it's not just the teachers come here from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. but they genuinely love what they're teaching, and they really do want you to succeed. And the students all really want to be here, and I think that that's a really special thing.
Also, the school just does really strange things. Like, let's be honest. We have culture dinners here, which I'm pretty sure are kind of unique for PCS.
That's true.
We run things a little bit differently, and it makes it just unique.
Question 2, here we go. What is the purpose of student government? Now, this is a very general and broad question, but it is a very important one which all future presidents must comprehend and approach. I have some pointers to guide you guys along the way. If there are any starting thoughts, please state them now.
Well, I guess the purpose of student government would be to interact with the student body in a way that facilitates connections between faculty and administration and students in a way that might not happen without student government, but also just to, lead students in the right direction. So it's awesome that we have spirit, but I think student government needs to do slightly more, and that we're supposed to be positive in a way that students might not always be. So I guess we're supposed to be more of like a role model for kids to look up to.
I feel like students' government role, although it is spirit-oriented, it also needs to focus on academic support and stuff like that for students. Like, it is a stressful environment at PCS, and we need to acknowledge that, and student government itself has to work towards attempting to help students with that. And then at the same time, also creating the culture of PCS with these spirited events that kind of contrast from the academics. And it can be almost like a jumping off platform. Like, students can contact like student government. They want to get involved in like clubs or like recommendations for sports or stuff like that. Like, it's something that connects the school in a way that it wouldn't be connected if we didn't have this great opportunity.
I definitely agree that student government plays a large role in creating new traditions that can help people feel involved and having them have their voice heard. I think one thing that student government needs to do a little more of, other than having positive views on the spirit side of things, is actually trying to integrate more clubs into student government so they aren't separate entities. For example, the past few years we haven't had a green committee head, and I think we can integrate GSE and Eco Club and those kind of clubs together to have connections within student government to help get things more unified and done on their side of things too.
Okay, going off that, I think student government, the main purpose is to get everybody just excited about PCS and everything PCS stands for, which could be like the organizations we have here, the clubs, the people, just the general aura of PCS, and just get people excited that they go to PCS and not another school in Santa Cruz.
I personally think that, I guess in general, they should just make the life just better for the students in general, and also represent the student body. So I know a lot of students, they want to voice their opinions to people, the administration, and the only real way they can do that is like through us, because they don't have a lot of representation otherwise.
So I'm just gonna add a little bit more to this question, going off what Andrew just said. So within student government, there is a problem with communicating at the moment. So what are some thoughts that you guys have to improve communication within the community?
Do you mean communication between administration and student government, or student government and the student body, or student body to administration?
Well, the community encompasses all of those. So we've got the teachers, we've got parents, we've got students, and we've got the administration. So what are your thoughts on ways to improve communication between us and those four, or in between those four groups individually?
Via student government, or just in general?
Via student government.
Well, I think one thing student government could do is, I know it's obviously difficult to get news out about spirit weeks and events like culture dinners through student government, through social media, I'm sorry, because not everyone has social media. And since we're revamping the PCS website, I think it'd be really interesting to have a link to some kind of open forum where student government members can kind of have an admin status on it to answer questions about anything, whether it's grades or helping new students figure out how to work with like peer tutoring, and maybe have hand in hand with web to get students more integrated into the PCS culture and know what's happening, and have somewhere where they could ask anything and have it get answered.
Well, so I know the newspaper is working on this, and I think this would be a great idea and help people learn more about the stuff that's coming up about PCS. They're trying to make the announcements almost like a video. So like you almost like watch this video and people talk to you through the video instead of just hearing it. And since people see these people on the screen, they're going to be more inclined to like engage because there's people on the screen instead of just hearing his voice in the background as the teacher's trying to tell people to quiet down and listen. So I think that would help information get out to the students.
I think a centralized board where you put all the information would be helpful. Because now we have emails, we have Infinite Campus, there's the announcements, and then they kind of all sort of overlap, but not everyone checks the email. No one listens to the announcements. Not a lot of people check Infinite Campus. And so it might help if we have one unified place where everyone knows where to go to find information.
On top of that, if we have a section, at the old campus we had a board for each grade that had lists of what they were going to do in the recent, or in the days to come. and that wasn't updated a lot. But if we could get that to be revamped here at the new campus, and we could have it be a part of student government from an early age, if we established as 7th grade senator, you're expected to be in contact with the student body, to be in contact with parents and the administration and teachers that you need to work with. That is a much more long-term way of looking at it, and this way it won't be all on the 7th grade, because 7th graders will have like help and 8th graders will have help, but it should be established that the people in student government should be expected, a large portion of their job should be communication, which could be through some sort of video announcement, which could be a new committee or even just part of PR, and we could try and just have more creative ways of communicating. We should have constant emails, we should have the videos, we should have the boards, just ways so that students always have the outlet to know what's going on, and so they aren't in the dark and being like, I wonder if I have a great event coming up, and they find out from their friend who knows someone in student government 2 days before, and they can't end up going to the bonfire because they had a prior commitment, or they can't go to the culture dinner, and this way they'll lose out on a lot of relationships that they might have with older students or students in their grade, and their experience at PCS might be worse for it.
Anyone over here want to respond or something?
I mean, what Tova was saying about having an open forum, I think would be really cool, because I think that, once a year when Mr. Fletcher does meeting with students, I think students have a lot of feedback to give, and I think it's important that we can respond to that. And I think a big part of that is having informed student government members. So I know this year Nestler had us sit and listen to a lecture, and I think that was really cool that the students kind of learned the history of PCS. So like, I go to all the board meetings, and I know that most people don't want to do that, but I think that there are things that the student body should be informed about, even if it's not something they would generally think about. And so maybe that happens through all school meetings, which obviously are a lot harder at this campus, but I still think that, a sort of like State of the Union meeting is something that we could do just so that everyone's on the same page about what's happening. And that brings everyone together, but also updates them.
Yeah, because student government members do go to board meetings, or they're required to go to a specific amount of board meetings, and so those that went could update the student populace on what happened at that board meeting if it pertains to them. If it's some financial thing with
definitely.
Then they probably don't care.
I don't know that people always care about the budget. Sometimes it's interesting,
but if it's something that involves them, like instituting like a new lunch policy or something,
or test scores or something like that, if they've changed the APs or
we could inform the student body, and it would be helpful.
And I know like recently we haven't been able to have grade meetings because of the new facility we have, so maybe having the open forum could kind of serve the same way, since a lot of people don't like to give up their tutorial for a 45-minute long meeting, but they do enjoy voicing their opinion with the meetings with Mr. Fletcher and that kind of thing.
All right, and that concludes our final question for the day. I'm Blake, and I would like to thank our 5 candidates for joining with us today for this great first panel that we've ever had. Thank you very much, and remember everyone, please vote.